The silent killer within bodybuilders are blood pressure
Yep.
caused by PEDs.
Mhm.
But how do blood pressure kill us? It is the kidneys. It does and for our viewers who don't know, you have two kidneys. They're not regenerative. If your kidneys go,
That's it.
they're done. You're on dialysis. If
All
you're
right,
lucky, you won't die.
What's going on YouTube, it's Jason and welcome to day number 63 of my 86-day vlogging challenge. So today I'm going to be posting the third and final steroid interview in full. I'm interviewing a guy that I call Mr. X, and this interview is really eye-opening. He goes into detail about things that you just wouldn't find online. Things like how much does it cost to actually buy gear? How much should I be spending on my health, scans and supplements if I am going to take gear? And more importantly, what are the nasty side effects? He really goes in, he doesn't hold back. It is a really insightful interview. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it. Cool, Mr. X, thank you very much for taking the time to chat today. So for those of you who don't know Mr. X, he's no bum. He is an elite runner, middle distance, 800 meters, ran nationally for South Africa with a PB of 1:45, which is not slow for any of you guys that know running. If you don't, just know that you'll probably never do sub 2 in your life. He also played high-level rugby at university with some guys that went on to play for the Springboks and the outside centre. He has a master's MSc in sports science, so the guy knows his stuff and knows what he's talking about. And he's also a family man and senior director at a management consultancy. So I'm speaking to a guy with clout who can give us some real insights into this game. Mr. X, I'm not sure if I've missed anything out.
I think just to point out, Jason talks about 145 being very fast, but if you run against guys that run 141s, Jason will concur that 145 is slow.
Slow.
Thank you, Jason. I'm happy to be here and look forward to the chat. Good summation there of my career, what I've been through in life, and I think at the core of it is athleticism for me.
Definitely. So yeah, you was obviously wanted to compete at a good level. So if you go into like your training journey, how long have you been training for before you jumped on gear?
So first of all, I'm in my latter 40s this year. I'll be past 45 plus 2 in May. Wow. So I've started training age 13. That was the thing where I'm from in South Africa, age 13 for rugby training. And I haven't touched PEDs or steroids or any growth hormones or any hormones until the ripe old age of 33, I would have said.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, and so all those years, I train naturally. Obviously, we use supplements, but no performance enhancement. Yeah.
Very interesting, and actually, that correlates with the second interview I did with the IFBB Pro. He had squeezed out the natty potential, dialed everything in, and again, 34 when he jumped on. So actually, yeah, a stark contrast to what we see nowadays with these Sam Sulek wannabes jumping on when they're 18, 19. So you're training from 13 up to the age of 33. Things are obviously going well. You're progressing. I know you've done some shows before jumping on gear
as well. You did some shows natural.
What is it that made you take the plunge and actually jump on gear?
Well, my first show was totally natural. My second show, and I managed to play my first show. I managed to place third when the IFBB, so the UK BFF, was still a very powerful federation. Not that they're not powerful now, but it was very competitive when I mean powerful. And I placed third out of 13, which was not bad. And in classic bodybuilding, which is these days not to be confused with NPC classic physique. And so there is a slight difference. People ask me what's the difference. I think classic bodybuilding is more athletic. Classic physique And I'll put it out there, is often bodybuilders that don't find their wheels in, open class. So they're classic. They strike a Superman and they're classic. But anyway, there we go. So so I did the 2 shows, and then I decided after my second show, qualified for British finals in 2014, and that was when I started to dabble with very minute amounts of performance enhancement drugs. Not because I wanted to, but I always use the analogy of, you're going to go to race against Porsches, you can't bring a Volkswagen Golf. Well, maybe you can, but with a Porsche motor in it, or super thing. It'll last you one round, but I think you get that.
Yes, I think I in the limited experience I have of competitions, doing my first one in October, I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. The level and the main reason I'm going to be bowing out after October is so high that even if you managed to get your pro card natural, you will get absolutely smoked by actual pros on the big stage. So you will just be there for the numbers. And some people don't mind doing that, but as you guys have heard, Mr. X likes competition, and if he can't be the best, he doesn't want to be involved. And I think that's the right mentality to have. If you're going to do it properly. There's no point you going there just to make the numbers. So obviously you jumped on to be competitive and take things to the next level. What did gear do for you? A lot of people from the outside looking in see these massive physiques, but I guess they don't really know in a practical sense of like the gains in strength or size, recovery. How was it for you? What differences did you notice?
Well, the differences were quite clear. I say to people not to condone the usage, but it makes you a little bit into Superman. Your recovery is so much better. Your protein synthesis is so much better. If you have the genetic ability,
yes,
it will enhance you quite much quicker than Joe Blogs.
Sure.
And when I say with Joe Blogs, is the average man on the street with lesser good genetic may not exponentially get the gains you get out of it because of the genetic. So there is the overall part of it is all about genetic, and then about steroids. I see a lot of young men coming to me saying, I want to take a course and I want to be big like that. And I said, well, if you're going to be big like that, let me know your secret, because I can't get big like that. So I think I started on bare minimums, to reach, because I wanted to do good at the British, but just in my first year at the British, I came 9th out of 32. But still, there were people genetically much more gifted than me. It's not, so I think that was about it. I hope that answered your question.
For sure. Yeah, no, because I mean, just I guess specific. So like strength increase.
Okay.
And muscle mass. What was it like? Was it night and day for you, or was it like? Not?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, I'll go into compounds. For instance, my and a lot of the seated bodybuilders watching this will must really get this. I used to use my favorite stack is bread and butter. Bread and butter is your testosterone base. I love sustanin. Sustanin is a combination of 4 or 3, depending how you look at it, 3 or 4. Testosterone compounds from a propionate, from very short esters to long esters, and then decadurabolin, nandrolone, which I absolutely love. It gives you it can give you real bad side effects. Everybody heard of, excuse my French, Decadec? And sorry, Jason, if I'm not allowed to on this podcast.
I will edit that out.
It can give you some erectile dysfunction if you misuse it because of prolactin. It messes around with your hormones, prolactin and stuff. And a lot of people get it wrong with Deca. But for me, that combination, I used to run that in the off season. And then I used to run that, say, 18 weeks. And then I would take a 6-week break, but I would still keep my natural testosterone, and then I would go into that same compound for 10 weeks, but then when I came out of the 10 weeks, I would use other compounds. Right. That makes sense. And contest spread.
Yes, sure.
So off season is just those compounds, and if you ask me how much, it was about I won't mention dosages on the air because I don't want the viewers to go and use what I use.
Sure.
But it was a 2-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
And very minimal amount.
And you notice the difference.
Yeah. I mean, you see me off season, and you've seen me.
Yeah, feel that. So
it obviously worked. We kind of touched on it a little bit there about the side effects.
Yeah.
And this I think the bit I want to be stressed. I think a lot of people watching these YouTube videos will look at sebum, right? And he might speak about his liver, but they'll ignore that bit. They'll be like, whoa, look at his chest. The practical side of playing with compounds is that it can produce nasty side effects. Did you experience anything out of the norm or anything that people should be aware of? Maybe this happened to you and you're like, oh, how would I have done it differently or whatever. Have you, in all your years, you're talking about maybe over 10 years now, maybe playing with stuff, have you experienced any side effects, even if they're mild?
Side effects, right? So, right, I've had anything from on contest prep erectile dysfunction to lactating from DECA.
Wow.
Because it raises prolactin.
Right.
And that can cause males to lactate. Physically, you squeeze the nipple and you get little droplets.
Someone had that on.
My first interview had that while he was on Trent.
Yeah, Trent, because it's a 19 NOR compound, both Trenbolone and DECA, just for the viewers, they're 19 NOR. And what they do is a lot of people, and Jason, if I may, they'll say, look, take anastrozole or take XYZ to curb prolactin, but it doesn't. You need something called cabergoline, which is a dopamine precursor in the brain. It's very scientific, but you take that to actually stop the prolactin, if that makes sense, to stop the side effects of which stops you from getting gyno, because a lot of people, they take a coach or a guru will say, look, take anastrozole or something like that, tamoxifen. And the guy will say, but coach, I still get gyno. Yeah, because you haven't blocked your prolactin.
Right.
Now, there's a theory that if you block estrogen enough, prolactin won't take over. But still, I as a young rookie, it's a little bit like anything. Like, you worked in the city when, I work in the city. It was a bit like trial and error.
Yeah, sure.
So I didn't know why am I lactate? Oh, I'm taking anastrozole. I'm taking anastrozole. But why is it not working? Well, are you blocking prolactin? No,
So you had that. You had the lactating. You had the
erectile dysfunction. Erectile dysfunction. How can I say the erectile dysfunction? It happens also from a disturbance in your hormones.
Okay. Anyway,
if you know what I mean. So that is often, and anyway, if you kill estrogen too much, you're gonna have sexual issues.
Yes.
I mean, other things like raise cholesterol.
Raise
really
cholesterol.
bad.
Blood pressure.
Hematocrit. Blood pressure I always control.
Okay.
So I think, as you know, I was big on health subs. We always spoke in the gym. I was big on health subs. So I've always looked after that. Bad erectile dysfunction, bad lipids, hematocrit too high, bad kidney values, poor liver values, all sorts of that.
Fine. And so I know there'll be people watching this video. I don't know what generation is below Gen Z, but that sort of age, 18 to 21, that are looking at people like Sam Sulek and sebum and being like, I want to look like them. I want to jump on gear. As someone who is more experienced and more rounded, what would your advice be to them?
Well, so to give it in context, we live in a world of instant gratification, right? And you see all these amazing physiques, and some people claim natty, and it's absolute nonsense, right? We all know it.
Yeah.
But it still puts a picture in the frame, and what people do is they go into a gym and they train for 4 to 6 months, and they don't look like sebum, and they go, right, okay, it must be the steroids, right?
Yes,
and they jump on. And that's the biggest mistake you can be, because I think I trained to my 30s natural, and I use supplements containing creatine, and it's literally like that in whey protein. It's very cliche, but that is the truth, right?
Yeah,
and I built you must be put a photo.
Absolutely, yeah.
impressive physique by that. But again, I am not genetically super gifted, but I have genetic for it. I'm athletic.
Yes.
I was born athletic.
Yes.
Right? My proportions is okay. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. It's good enough to compete internationally, which I have done.
I'll pop a picture so you can see Mr. X's hamstring sweep when he competed back in 2016. And you
guys tell me whether you think 2019.
And you tell me whether you think Mr. X has okay
genetics or not.
The hamstring sweep actually is an interesting one. I always say that was made in the 800 meters because of all the sprints, you know.
Crazy.
And people say to me, you know, how do you get the sweep? And I go, well, I ran for years 800 meters and cross country, and that sweep came from there. And it was, I always got commendations for my legs. You know, my quads was lacking, but the hamstring sweeps always been there. It's even there now, you know.
Yes.
Anyway, so anyway, coming back to your question, I would say, look, drain the potential. Really work hard. I would say if you go hard, if you train hard, right, and I'm talking about your nutrition, your sleep, you hire a guy like Jason, and get him to help you for 2-3 years. If you get to the peak and you see you're not going anywhere, then you can start thinking, right, what's the next steps? But if you nail nutrition, rest, recovery,
yes,
blah blah blah, you know. But I don't think to build the cusp of it, to build a good physique, to look good at a beach or in life, or to look good, you don't need steroids.
Absolutely.
Performance enhancing drugs.
Absolutely.
And I've been saying this, even though, so I'm quite an open-minded natty in that, like, I don't see an issue with someone per se taking gear to bodybuild, because bodybuilding by nature is not natural. There is natural bodybuilding, but by nature, bodybuilding is not natural. If you want to compete on the big stage, I've never been more convinced you know what you need to do. But to build a physique, even if your genetics are average, I tell all the younger guys, if you optimize that triangle that Mr. X spoke about, training, nutrition, and recovery and rest, if you nail that triangle consistently for 5 years, I think most people by that point would have built what I call your base physique. Like, even now, the most change I saw in my physique is the first 5 years. From there, there's been a bit of muscle maturity and some changes, but what I saw 5 years in is pretty much what I've seen now. So I can say to people, look, 70% of your gains, if you nail that 5 years, will be had, and the rest will just be eking out drops from a tap. So if you're consistent, you can achieve phenomenal things in 5 years. And a lot of people won't even think about steroids. That what a lot of people are doing, which is what Mr. X touched on, which is what I hate the most, is they are 2 weeks on, 3 weeks off, 3 months on, 3 months off. And they think that gear is going to cover inconsistency, and it categorically will not. Because I've seen so many people at the gym who tell me they're on gear and I look better than them. And I'm like, you're on gear. They're like, yeah, I've been on for 2 years. And they're telling me all these master on, all these different names. And I'm just like, you look average, because they just don't know what they're doing. They haven't got the genetics for it, and they think it's going to be a magic pill. And I hope you guys would learn from Mr. X that it is not a magic pill. It is not going to bridge the gap if you're dropping the ball everywhere else and if you don't have genetics. So I guess on the back of that, let's say someone's already taken it. What would you say to them in line with some of the precautions you took? Because maybe we didn't have a cover that yet, but you took a lot of precautions while taking the gear, which meant that you probably minimized more side effects than probably could have happened. So yeah, what would you say to someone who's already on it now, ill-advised?
To do while on it, to maybe manage more side effects or anything like
that? I think first of all, people underestimate really how much you should do. Yeah, bodybuilder bro science. Oh, blood work. Get your blood work done. Blood work is a snapshot in time of your blood values.
Right.
It doesn't give you a scan of your kidneys. It doesn't give you a scan, hints in this, a scan of your liver.
Yep. It
doesn't give you arterial, basically anterior angiogram. For those that doesn't know, they inject a dye into your blood and actually runs through your heart, and it shows if your capillaries are blocked.
Wow.
You cannot see that
No, on a
via
blood test.
blood work.
Wow, okay.
So your cholesterol's high.
Yes.
You can see, but over a period of time, you cannot see your prostate. The silent killer within bodybuilders are blood pressure caused by PEDs. But how do blood pressure kill us? It is the kidneys. It does your kidneys.
Yes.
It destroys the capillaries in your kidneys. And for our viewers who don't know, you have 2 kidneys. They're not regenerative. If your kidneys go,
That's it.
they're done. You're on dialysis. If you're lucky, you won't die. Not to scaremonger,
Right.
but it's reality. If you don't know what you're doing, so what should you be doing? Well, you should have your ECGs at least 2 a year. You should have an angiogram at least a year. These things cost you thousands of pounds. The average viewer will go, wow, why would I do that? But I will still take gear. So apart from that, there are many health supplements that you can take for blood pressure, for your cholesterol, stuff like that. There's some phenomenal stuff in the market. But there is no safe usage of PEDs. There's only harm reduction.
So number one, you're taking some risks, and would you say that number two, someone just getting blood tests, they're not covering all bases?
I agree, 100%. I think you leave yourself. It is better than nothing. Yes. Is it fail-safe? Will you come out 5 years from now having used steroids without clogged up arteries or battered kidneys? Maybe not. Maybe.
Right. So I guess I'm about to go into the family element of like your life and how that fits in. But I guess while we're on that topic, if someone is taking gear responsibly, between how much you spend on gear and the safety checks you just spoke about, how much is someone potentially spending per month between steroid usage and safety checks, money wise?
I think this is an important part.
I think people, shockingly so, Jason, sorry, I wanted to say David, apologies. Some people don't even do blood work. I know of clients I trained, I trained some assisted clients, I know you don't, but where these people like blood work, and these are people that experience users.
Wow.
I mean, it's just a nightmare.
So how much
did it cost you?
Because obviously you were being sent.
Yeah, so I mean, monthly. I do food and everything, Jason. PEDs within the UK, depending on quality, is depending how much you're taking, could cost you anything from 90 to 500 pounds, depending whether you take growth hormone or not. Per month.
And that doesn't include any of the checks that you're talking about?
That's no checks. The checks, if you go, NHS won't give you checks.
No, of course not.
Unless you know a road doctor. The tests in themselves are the anterior angiogram, just for the viewers. It cost me $2,500.
Whoa.
You should get that one at least once a year. ECG costs you what these days? I don't know. You might know better than me.
Yeah, that's 600 quid. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so you should have that twice a year at least. Then I would also suggest get your kidney scanned, your liver scanned. Oh, but you don't need that. No. If you are serious about your health, you just do that. And unfortunately, most of our viewers won't have that cash to spend.
No.
So, counter question, why take steroids?
Absolutely. You know what? I love that. Because I guess people don't consider the other side of it. That the cost element. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'll just pay 100 quid by this, but actually the bits that prevent you being taken out early
is the bit you need to probably spend on.
I spend, no word of a lie, on health supplements every month 320 quid in my peak of mine. Wow. 320 quid.
That's outside gear.
Outside of gear, food, coaching, £320.
Wow.
Just on health, just to keep my health kind of good. And then it's still Russian roulette.
Yes. Wow. So then, so the people that are not doing that are potentially being reckless. So actually, consider the financial costs of, in summary, maybe if you're doing it right, anywhere from, is it unfair to say 7 to 10k a year if you're
doing it properly.
Yeah.
Wow,
Easy.
which is again a lot more than some of these young bucks can afford. I guess the last one, kind of a bonus question: How does gear fit in with family life? And I know you have a missus and a daughter, and obviously you're juggling work and all that kind of stuff. You know, you're not one dimensional. That's one of the reasons I respect you, that you're rounded. How does that fit in on prep, patience, tension, all of that? How is it with that, and what is their kind of points to consider?
Well, I think the reason why I do it is always, if you look at my career, if you look at my background, it was always about high performance.
Yes.
And it was always about trying to become my best, or be my best. And so I think I thrive on pressure, and I think prep for me was always going to war, almost.
Right.
You know, I think there's a fad of bodybuilders, no, you're not going to war, you just lift weights. But it's almost like a war, me against them.
Yeah.
I've never. One thing I hate is you versus yourself, because
I hate that.
that's true. But
I hate that.
there is no medals. We live in a society where everybody gets rewarded with a medal because they took part. There's no taking part. There's one champion.
Absolutely.
So I always approach my business or my life being my epitaph, and I want to win. I might not always win. I will come second more than.
But you aim for it. Yeah.
But I aim for it. So I think what kept me driven was my mindset. It means I think I have above average fortitude, a certain level of intelligence that helps. You know, and I've taken a lot of what I've learned in bodybuilding and taken it to the business world, and a lot of what I learned from the business world, and I think you can relate, being ex-city man yourself. You bring it in sport.
For sure.
So, and I always say, good businessman makes for good bodybuilders, and vice versa, and that's not always the case, but I think it does. There's a lot
of
crossover,
consistency, and
mindset, consistency, project management, seeing things through when things get tough, etc.
Yeah. Sure.
So that allows you to kind of balance everything, and I guess keep everything. Maybe a lot of these guys that are maybe taking it are young single men with nothing to worry about, right? But you find that your gear use hasn't affected family life per se?
But things are
I don't. I wouldn't say it has. I think, I've never had something called roid rage. I get, your temper do run a little bit thin towards the end of prep. But I don't think. Well, it could be you've been on a prep, natural, and you get a little bit touchy and stuff. But it's more hunger, tiredness.
Yes.
The worst is the tiredness and being depleted. When I talk to in theory about being depleted is being very, very lean. Jason saw me with striations on my calves.
That's crazy.
So I mean, being mega depleted is a big thing, and it makes you bad. I don't think it's ever affected my family life as such. Right. I think steroids, if you're a bit of a numpty, I think it'll make you bigger numpty. If you chill,
agreed.
It won't impact you.
Fun. So
Mr. X, that's everything. Thank you very much, and it's great to hear, kind of natural and assisted agree on the same point, that you do not need steroids to build a good physique, and a lot of people out there are not wanting a C-bum physique. They just want to look good, and they think they need steroids to do that.
You need, if you have genetics, you need steroids to be world class and be a pro
bodybuilder at the highest level, but 99.9% of people
don't want that.
I mean, that is very good statement, Jason. First of all, I think you will pretty much know very soon if you start in your competitive career whether you have a future.
Sure.
I was lucky enough to compete against the best in the world, but even I would say I know my limits. I wouldn't go out and push. I might become a pro, but at what cost? At what cost? And then what? Then what would I do? Stand in the queue at the back as in last call out forever? For what?
Yeah, agreed.
So no, that's great. And so thank you very much for your insights. We now have a young guy, we have IPU Pro, and we have a more mature competitor who's more rounded. And so we should, between the three of you, get some phenomenal insights. So as always, thank you very much for your time and input, and I'll be in touch very, very soon.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you,
time. All the best.
Cheers, take it.
Wow, absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So gear can cost you 7 to 10k a year, at least, if you're taking it properly and you're spending on the supplements and you're also spending on your health. That is a lot of money. From what I hear at the gym, people are spending nowhere near that on their health, and maybe that's why we see some of the adverse side effects. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this interview and found it helpful. Don't forget to like it if you did. Subscribe to my channel to follow me on this journey, and I'll see you again tomorrow.